What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, Ben Balian, back with another episode of the Sports Pod. And in today's episode, I'm going to get into why Mike Brown might have been the right choice to be the Knicks head coach. I mean, the New York Knicks are NBA Cup champions, and now they have a huge comeback win against the Indiana Pacers. And two key contributors in those wins were Jordan Clarkson and Tyler Kolek, who I think seasons would have been vastly different if Tom Thibodeau was still the head coach. I'll get into all of it on the other side of the intro. Hit it.
DiVincenzo a three. Bang! Bang! Got the wall. He jumps. It's gone. He did it. He did it. Pete Alonso with the most memorable home run of his career.
All right, getting into the episode, but before I start, I just want to say this. I was a huge Tom Thibodeau supporter. He came to New York and instantly changed the culture of this team. And when they fired him this past summer, I wasn't happy with it. I didn't think Mike Brown was that great of a head coach. I mean, he's never won an NBA Finals as a head coach, and he didn't seem like the right option to get this team over the hump. In other words, he didn't seem like he was that far ahead of Tom Thibodeau to the point where the Knicks were going to be so much better under Brown rather than Tibbs. However, I think I'm wrong on that take because the Knicks look awesome right now. Of course, they still have a few smaller things to iron out. But listen, they're 25, 26 games into this season under a brand new head coach with still an evolving roster that didn't get to play together a ton last year. The Knicks are in a great spot right now. All right, now getting to the Cup final. The Knicks with a huge win over the San Antonio Spurs. They were down 11 points at one instance in the second half. But the Knicks, it was Jordan Clarkson, it was Tyler Kolek, it was Mitchell Robinson, it was OG Anunoby that let the Knicks crawl back in and command the respect that they deserve. I mean, the Emirates NBA Cup is nothing. Listen, the Knicks are thriving for an NBA Finals championship. They want a real banner up in MSG, not the fake one that they're not going to put up, which I will get into later. But I am so happy that they are not putting that banner up. And I was kind of conflicted at points in this game whether I really wanted the Knicks to win or lose. I mean, I got to thinking, and I was like, what does the NBA Cup really mean? Because the last two Cup champions, the Lakers 2 years ago and the Bucks last season, were both eliminated from the playoffs in the first round, which at this stage in the Knicks' evolution, that's not good enough. I think the Eastern Conference Finals is bare minimum for the Knicks this year, especially with how weak the East is. The Knicks are going to play the Cavs next week on Christmas Day. That'll be a really good test for them. They just beat the Magic twice in a week. Last week, they beat them on Sunday in Madison Square Garden and then on Saturday in Las Vegas. That's a competitive team in the Eastern Conference. And the other one that I'm not sure when the Knicks will play is the Detroit Pistons, who I think that are going to give the Knicks problems. They're 2 games up on the Knicks in the Eastern Conference standings, but it's not even New Year's yet, so you can't really look at the standings. I'm more interested to see when the Knicks play the Pistons. I believe they do play at some point throughout January. If I'm looking at the schedule right here, because the Pistons, we saw it, they took the Knicks to 6 games last year, and that was a series the Knicks were supposed to dominate. The thing with the Pistons is that they're young, they're athletic, they're physical, they're lanky. They really expose the Knicks' weaknesses. The Knicks are more of that finesse build that's going to dribble around you, that's going to shoot a bunch of threes. They're not going to play hardball. That's just not in them. All right, so the Knicks play Detroit early in January, on January 5th in Detroit. And then they should play them again. They'll play them again at the Garden on February 19th. That's a national TV game, is the January 5th one. They're both national TV games, so that doesn't make a huge difference, but a bigger audience, higher expectations, I guess. Not too big of a difference, but just something to keep in the back of your mind. But right now, the Pistons are the team that I am most worried about because of the reasons I just mentioned. The Cavs, I will never be worried about because their big men can't shoot the three ball. And a couple of years ago, Mitchell Robinson absolutely 100% dominated both Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley. I will never be scared of the Cleveland Cavaliers. I hope this doesn't come back to bite me in the butt come late April, early May, because I could see a Knicks-Cavs first-round, second-round matchup in the postseason. Right now, the Cavs are only a play-in team, but it's at the point in the season where everything is within a game and a half a game and a half separates third place and ninth place. So you can't look at anything right now. And also the Toronto Raptors are the third place team right now, which I highly doubt will stand as the season goes along. They've had a good start to the year. I just don't think it's sustainable for Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, Brandon Ingram. I just don't think that team has it in them. But getting back to the Knicks and Mike Brown specifically, Tom Thibodeau never would have trusted Jordan Clarkson or Tyler Kolek, and especially Kolek, to play those extended minutes and all the way down into crunch time on Tuesday against the Spurs. It's just not in him. It was never his style, and it wouldn't have changed this year. But Mike Brown being able to adapt to his game plan and riding the hot hand gave Tyler Kolek a chance to prove himself in a high-energy, high-stakes situation, and Tyler Kolek balled out. I know the game's not going to go on the stat sheet. I know it's just, I don't even know what you consider the game because it doesn't count for any stats. But if you're looking at the box score after that game, OG led the way with 28. Robinson had 1 million offensive rebounds. And if I'm getting to Tyler Kolek now, I'm trying to pull up the box score. Tyler Kolek, in 20 minutes, had 14 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. Like, that's huge from Kolek off the bench. I know he's playing near starter minutes with 20, but still, he made his impact felt. And he did it in a big way, in a big moment. And I think it goes back to the Knicks wanting to have depth this year and the Knicks wanting to explore what they had on the bench, because Kolek was here last year and he's taking that sophomore leap. And it all goes back to how much he's actually playing, because in 2025, all he did was get garbage time minutes. That's all Tibbs was going to allot him. I guess he played a couple games when the Knicks were really banged up, but that's an unforeseen circumstance. This year, he's actually in the rotation, and he's performing well. It is the best case scenario. I think Kolek was a second-round pick out of the Big East. I mean, he fits the mold of what the Knicks need off the bench. He's a good assist man. He can put the ball in the basket. And that game against the Spurs was really nice. But I think what he just did against the Pacers with 1 million Knicks out of the lineup, I mean, Cat didn't play, Hart didn't play, Mitch didn't play, McBride has been out for a while, Shaman has been out for a while, but the Knicks are able to get a victory. Kolek, 11 assists, it's a career high. I think 15 plus points in the game, just stepping up when the Knicks actually need him. It's all Mike Brown giving him the opportunity, which Kolek never would have had under Tibbs. And this isn't to go after Tibbs. This isn't just to pile on Tibbs. It's just a flaw in his coaching that was probably the fatal flaw and really could have held the Knicks back from being NBA champions. Listen, I don't think Kolek was ready to be a real contributor to the team last year, but a couple minutes here and there, he doesn't have to be a vital piece of the rotation, but he can get in nearly every game just to get him that NBA experience in February, in March. When you're cruising to the playoffs, Kolek is good enough to play for you. And now in his second year, when he's a real piece of the rotation, he's showing you why. He's hooping. He's a dude. I love what Tyler Kolek has been doing. And his counterpart off the bench, Jordan Clarkson, he's basically campaign on steroids. He's just going to shot chuck, but the ball goes in at a much higher rate, and he's a better defender due to his larger figure. He was huge in that Cup final game against San Antonio. I mean, the defense he played, he doesn't hit every shot. In fact, he misses most, but the shots he does hit, it's electric. You get that feeling, you get the goosebumps. They are momentum-altering shots. And on Tuesday, they came at a huge time when the Knicks were riding some momentum. Kolek would swing it to Clarkson on the wing. A transition three, bang. I mean, that's what it was. And even in the half-court set, when the shot clock wound down, the Knicks weren't afraid to swing it to Jordan Clarkson because Clarkson wasn't afraid to hoist it up. That's what Jordan Clarkson does. He's not afraid to do anything. He's a risk taker. He's a fearless player, and I love what he's brought to the table right now. Now, I hope he can do it in the playoffs because Cam Payne provided for the Knicks just a little bit in the regular season, and he had a nice game one against Detroit, but other than that, he was abysmal. I think Clarkson's going to be better. He's a veteran. He's a former sixth man of the year, I believe, and he's a proven guy in the NBA. I mean, going back to that cup final, he played 29 minutes tonight against Indiana. But it just goes back to the bench playing. Everything does. And the Knicks wanted to use that bench. And I really want to know, and this is something that could probably come out after the season. I want to know if Mike Brown went to Leon Rose in the offseason and said, listen, I don't know how you guys did things before, but from what I saw, Tom Thibodeau didn't like to use his bench. And from what I saw throughout the rest of his career, this was a common theme. Can we try to bolster our bench? Can we try to develop a real bench unit? Because I want to play these guys. I want to go 9, 10 men deep on any given night. And I don't know if Leon Rose push Tibbs to keep the rotation tighter, to spend more money on the starters and the sixth man. But what I do know is that Tom Thibodeau certainly wouldn't say no to Leon Rose because that's something he loves to do. So Mike Brown he's changed the culture, but it was a culture that was already good. He's taking a good team and he's making them great. And for what I said earlier, what I started the episode with, was that I didn't think Mike Brown would be able to take the Knicks to that next level. But from what I'm seeing right now, I think he's going to be. Going into this season, I said, give the Knicks to New Year's. Let them figure everything out. Let them make mistakes. And right now, the Knicks are 19-7. I know that's where they're supposed to be, but their offense has taken such an uptick. And getting into the OG Anunoby stuff I wanted to hit on, Wingstop is finally playing how Leon envisioned them to be when he acquired Mikal Bridges a couple off seasons ago. Mikal Bridges, a really nice bounce back season in his second year as a Knick. I love what he's doing. If I'm looking at his shooting splits right now, he's averaging 16 a game. Let me go to the field goal percentage. 16 a game on 52% from the field and 40% from behind the arc. To go along with all NBA caliber defense. That's huge, man. The Knicks are going to be a force to reckon with in the playoffs. And moving off of Mikal Bridges and back to OG Anunoby, what he did on Tuesday night was incredible. Jalen Brunson didn't have his best stuff. That's fine, because Karl Anthony Towns had a nice game. And OG Anunoby in particular stepped up. I mean, he led the team in points. And there's one play that still sticks out on my mind where OG drives from the left wing. He goes up strong. He gets blocked, but he's so strong that he holds on to the ball and still finds a way to lay it in. That's huge, man. OG Anunoby is such a good ball player, and I don't think the Knicks can move off of him for a Giannis trade at any cost. I don't care if the Bucks are willing to give you Giannis, Kyle Kuzma, and the rest of their starting five. OG Anunoby stays a New York Knick. He means too much to this team. His energy is infectious. The Knicks go as OG goes in so many aspects. And I mean, Jalen Brunson's tremendous on the offensive end. No one's going to degrade what he can do. But I think OG pulls the team together and makes them complete because he really can do anything. If I had to categorize him, I would say he is a 3-and-D player, but he's so much more than that. At this rate, I think he's going to be an all-star this year. I think he's heading out to LA and he's going to play in the Intuit Dome for the all-star game. He's just had such a good season, and I think this is how he started last year as well. He had an awesome start to the year. Then he might have gotten down. He went down with a hamstring injury early in this season, but he's back now and he's balling out. And I feel like I've said that a million times in this episode, which is great because all the Knicks are clicking right now, and I hope it can continue. I mean, next up, the Knicks, it's going to be, let me find it. It's the Sixers tomorrow night on Prime Video. It's a home game. Back at MSG for the first time in a little while. They went up to Toronto and then out to Vegas and then to Indiana. So now they'll get home tonight. They'll be able to sleep in their own beds for a good while, for a good night's rest. And then they'll play Philly at 7 p.m. tomorrow night. After that, they'll take on Miami at home on Sunday, and that'll end the home stint. Then they'll head back out kind of west, Midwest, maybe for Minnesota on Tuesday, and then they'll come home for Cleveland on Christmas Day. That's the early game, the 12 p.m. game. I think that's going to be a really good game. I think it's going to be a really good test, and it's a test that the Knicks should win because at the end of the day, they are the better team. And now getting to the final thing I want to hit on for this episode, I am so pleased that the Knicks are not hanging an NBA Cup banner. I want to start this off by going back to something I said a little while ago. I was conflicted when thinking about whether the Knicks should win or lose this game. Intuitively, you would say, of course the Knicks should win. Why wouldn't they? You have a chance to raise a trophy. All the players will get $530,000 if the Knicks win this game. My counter to that would be the last two Cup champions were both eliminated in the first round of the playoffs. I don't know if there's some kind of curse on this. I don't know if the Knicks are going to get a championship, and I put that in air quotes for the people on audio, championship hangover after winning the Cup, but they proved they didn't with half, if not more than half, of their starting lineup watching from the sidelines tonight. I'm just overall happy that they're not going to raise the banner, though, because all it does is set you up to be the laughingstock of the league. The NBA Cup, the Emirates NBA Cup, does not hold enough name value. It doesn't hold enough weight yet for people to be like, oh, the Knicks got the NBA Cup. Let's go. This is huge. First one in franchise history. But I think it's something that can get to that point. Watching the games in Vegas, the semifinals and the finals, maybe it was more exciting for me because I had a dog in the fight, but I had a good amount of fun watching it. I still can't believe the Spurs knocked off the Thunder, handed them their second loss of the season. And I do think it would have been more exciting if it was Knicks Thunder in the finals, but I will take Knicks Spurs. I think it's probably not an NBA Finals preview where Knicks Thunder absolutely could have been, and that's like a very realistic NBA Finals preview. But it was still fun to watch. The intensity was up. The players wanted to play in the game. The players were into it. I mean, Mitch Johnson, the Spurs head coach, was on the court cursing out officials. The energy is there. The grit, the integrity of the NBA Cup is there, which is why I could see it taking off. If you come back to this in 10 years, I could make an argument for the NBA Cup being an exciting thing that players buy into, that teams buy into, that fans buy into. At the end of the day, you are raising a trophy, which I have never seen one of my favorite teams do before in my life. So yeah, I was excited when Jordan Clarkson was knocking down threes, when Tyler Kolek was dropping dimes, when Mitch was fighting for every single offensive rebound against the 4-inch taller Victor Wembanyama. I was hyped up. I think I was more hyped up because that's a huge Knicks win against maybe a young Spurs team, But the Knicks and Spurs had the same record of 18-7 going into that contest. And that was a huge comeback win, double-digit deficit, I believe, in the fourth quarter. And the Knicks needed everything they had to crawl back into the game. I mean, watching Kolek and Clarkson play was a true treat. I loved that. That was awesome. And at the end of the day, though, I am happy. There's no parade. There's no banner. The Knicks won the NBA Cup. I'm sure they celebrated hard in Vegas because 4 or 5 guys missed the next game. I'm sure they had a good time. They celebrated it well. But now it's back to work. The end goal is always to hoist the Larry O'Brien in the middle of June. And so, yeah, the Knicks won the NBA Cup, and Mike Brown is quickly proving himself as superior to Tom Thibodeau, but there's still a ton of work to do. All right, that's going to do it for the episode. If you enjoyed, please consider following, subscribing, sharing, liking, commenting. I really appreciate all of it. Also, make sure you check out all my socials linked in the description below. Also, if you want to send me a voicemail with your sports questions and takes, you can do so by dialing the number 848-305-8073. And last but not least, make sure you keep it locked with the Sports Pod.